Welcome back to the House of David for Agnostics. Today we're going to look briefly at David's brothers, as depicted in the show, when we first meet them in Season 1, Episode 1. We'll start with the first brother, Eliab, spelled E-L-I-A-B. He is introduced as a high-ranking soldier in King Saul's army, and the oldest son of Jesse, and his first wife, not named in the TV show. In reality, or at least in the biblical account, I believe he was the son of Nitzevet, which was also David's mother. But as we know, House of David is clearing up that very muddied story about David's parentage by going with the idea of two distinct wives. One that was the mother of Jesse's first 7 sons, and Nitzevet as the mother of David, so 8 boys total. On the TV show, we only see 5 brothers, not 7. I don't know about you, but I have no problem with that. It would be very difficult to keep them all straight if they don't have a major role, and they don't. 2 of them don't even speak. I mean, they weren't given any speaking lines. Okay, so back to Eliab. For those who have read the biblical account of David, you know that which will happen later, when Samuel goes looking for the next king to anoint, and he goes to Jesse's family, Jesse being David's father, he sees Eliab and he thinks, well, this must be him. He's handsome. He's a soldier. He's the firstborn. Everything you're looking for. Eliab is a person of importance, not only in the army, but in his own family. And whereas he is protective of his little brother David, he also thinks David is a pain in the neck and a source of a lot of the family's trouble, including the shame brought upon them by the TV show's depiction of David having a different mother in a not entirely legal union with Jesse. He views David as an outcast, a poet, a shepherd, certainly not anyone that could ever become a soldier. Eliab takes his job, what he considers his job as the family caretaker, very seriously. He feels it is his purpose and responsibility to redeem the family from the shame David's birth has brought upon them. Eliab is definitely a man of action. Because of his activity and experience with Saul's army, Eliab has no problem setting his father straight when it comes to matters of military danger. And he is one heck of a fighter. Wait till we get to episode 2 and you get to see Eliab in action. I think the first time I watched that episode, I must have rewound the fight scene 2 or 3 times. I was so impressed. Basically, Eliab is portrayed as a brave and experienced soldier who is protective of his family, including David, even though he views David as a pain in the neck and a source of shame. Next we have Abinidab, which to us kind of looks like Abinidab. He's the second-born son, and the way they've decided to portray him is very different than Eliab. He's much more easygoing. He's got a great sense of humor, and he seems to be more God-fearing. He too is a soldier in King Saul's army, very capable. I would say out of all the brothers, Eliab and Abinidab might be the closest, for lack of a better term, in so much as they are both the oldest and they both fight in Saul's army, so they've got a lot of shared experiences. He definitely does not have the same issues with David as the eldest brother Eliab does. He supplies a little bit of comic relief in the show and is just sort of good at balancing the family dynamic. You can't have all of that intensity with Eliab without having something to temper it. And certainly it's not tempered in any way or benefited by Nathaneel, kind of like Nathaneel, who is depicted as the third brother. I'm not sure if he has a physical disability or not, but he's definitely not a warrior like his 2 older brothers. And he has no desire to become one, unlike David, who can't wait to get to the battlefield. Nathaneel is very vocal about his disapproval of David's existence, basically, or at least the shame that David has brought on their family. In episode 2, when David is showing off his prowess with his sling, and there's a little wager as to how many jars he can break at once with his sling, and a rock or 2 rocks, Eliab is saying, I will give you a mule if you can do it. Well, it turns out he's jokingly referring to Abinadab's mule, and he says, I'll add an acre of land. David mentions the fact Eliab doesn't have an acre of land. Eliab's not disturbed because he's convinced David can't do it. But Nathaneel weighs in and says what David will offer in his part of the wager is he will no longer shame us by going into town. Basically, he just wants him outcast forever, forget he ever existed. And the 2 other brothers tell him, you're the worst. He's saying, what? You guys think this too, you just don't say it out loud. So there's that going on in the family dynamic. The two other brothers shown, I don't even know what their names would be. I'm not sure if they're listed in the Bible or not. I'm guessing they are. In fact, let's look it up right now. Okay, here we go. I see here that David had 7 brothers, as mentioned, and at least 2 sisters. Interestingly, it says one of his brothers most likely died before having children. But let's see if we've got the names here. We've got Eliab, Abinidab. It says in the Bible, the 3rd oldest brother, and I'm going to massacre these names, I apologize, is Shemaiah or Shammah. The 4th brother is Nathaneel. The 5th, Radai. The 6th, Ozem. I definitely don't see a 7th. And the 2 sisters were Zeruiah and Abigail. What I'm reading says that the brother who's not named could have been Elihu, or is that Elihu? And since he didn't have any children, he therefore was not accounted for when a genealogical registry was composed. So there we have it. In the TV show, we can expect 3 brothers to have interactions specifically with David. Eliab, his protective, pragmatic oldest brother. Abinidab, the 2nd brother, who is also skilled at war, but who's much more easygoing and seemingly fun-loving. And Nathaneel, who does love God and is not a fan of the king, but likes to pick on David, and he's not my favorite. That's all I can say. There is a young girl named Avva in the TV show. It's hard to tell if she is meant to be a daughter or not, because at one point she says, "Your father is calling you," or "Your father is looking for you," as opposed to "Dad" or "Our father." Perhaps she is David's sister. They definitely have that kind of vibe. But it's still hard to tell if they're blood relatives. David's definitely close to her, and she gets him. She understands who he is. She's a great support for him. I know there wasn't too much to this video because we're just kind of tweaking our understanding just a teeny bit of the dynamics between David's family members in the TV show, so that when we go forward, we kind of get a sense of where they're coming from. At the point we meet all of the brothers, they are all single, by the way. And in the 2nd episode, when David plays harp at a wedding, Eliab even asks David, play some music that will stir the emotions to help Eliab get a bride. It's cute. Okay, friends, looking forward to being back with you when we'll take a look at King Saul's family. Chariste som, everyone. Tuta.